Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and you've obviously heard of Total War Millennium Modern Warfare. This is a wildly popular mod which basically introduces a bunch of World War I units to Warhammer 3. This is something that I've covered in the past. It's a little bit insane, let's be honest there, especially since it doesn't really fit with the setting, but they've been able to do quite a lot of really cool things. Well, there's now a submod. It's supposed to be a standalone, but you need Total War Millennium to run it, called Modern Warhammer, which is supposed to bring in the modern warfare aspects to, to Warhammer 3. I know, it sounds weird. It's essentially just bringing COD stuff and stuff that we've seen in other settings and real life too. I mean, you can actually use a Himars tank, which is, insane. That's pretty much the best way of saying it, but this actually does allow me to speak about a few things that I want to talk about the future of Total War in general, because we've heard those rumors that CA want to do Total War 40k, and I think that this is the best way to actually see if a Total War 40k is possible, plus a few other bits. So as you've been able to see already, this mod adds in a bunch of weird stuff, some flyers, some tanks. There is nuclear bombs too, VK2 rockets and so on. There's some stuff that might be linked up to, obviously, the Millennium Warfare mod, so that will be switched around as the video progresses. But it's insane to see this happening, right? Especially when you start looking towards, like, I don't know, SGGs. The animations are not really perfect. It's mostly because this is still a work in progress, and this was actually taken from a mod way back in the day that was introduced in 2022, I believe. It's long since been abandoned, and the modder decided to bring it up. I've got some of the Modern Warfare ones here too, just so you can see how everything goes. Yeah, it is odd, right? These two mods together show us that gunpowder warfare just doesn't really work. Sure, we had Empire Total War, but the problem is that as you start going to more modern guns where you need a much more mobility and more flexibility from the engine, it's just not going to be able to perform as well as expected. The units themselves are still extremely awesome, and it's a style that a lot of people do like. Obviously, they're going to want to see how everything works in action and so on. But yeah, this kind of solidifies why Creative Assembly are working with Unreal Engine for newer titles. From what we've been hearing, they've been hiring people with knowledge of Unreal Engine. It's likely that maybe the Warscape engine is finally going to get retired, which honestly is about time. It's not even just about tech deck. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in a different video. It's more the fact of, yeah, it's dated. It's completely dated. It wasn't really the best engine for what they wanted to do originally. It's kind of odd just seeing this happen, especially for Warhammer 3. Warhammer 3 is already out there enough when we look towards certain units, but when you start seeing flying ships being added in, very Gundam style, a little bit of 40k references there, I guess. It depends on what you're looking for. If they're from another setting, I have no idea. I am not really too interested in other stuff. It clearly shows that this engine was not built for anything too modern, and I would even argue that it struggles very heavily with Warhammer Fantasy, and it should have been something new by that point. People have been crying for a new engine for many years at this point, but it's just becoming more and more obvious as time progresses. Sure, you can't look towards mods for that, but it's very obvious when you start playing Warhammer 3 and you deal with a lot of issues there. The game just chugs and struggles. For those of you not aware, the Total War engine is actually quite modular, which means that you can upgrade it, take stuff out, and put stuff in as you need, which, yeah, works for, again, very early historical stuff, very medieval stuff. But I feel like since, well, Empire, they've needed a new one. If anything, this mod has further proved that, because while the stuff in theory can be added in, you know, think about Imperial Knights and, you know, Space Marines and all that type of stuff, they have way too many dynamic weapons to be able to fire and use in the current engine. They need to be upgraded quite heavily to be able to do their proper amount of damage. There's some cases where Empire Free Company militia struggle to fire and, you know, stab people at the same time. It's not ideal when it comes to those types of units who should be able to do both. That being said, both these mods that are being showed off in the video are impressive feats of modding capability, especially when you start looking towards the flyers. They look absolutely great. They don't perform as well in damage and they are a little bit slow, but then again, this mod is a work in progress. It does give you that 40k feel. The mechs before, for some reason, didn't make me think of Imperial Knights. They made me think more Future Cop LAPD. Which was a nice little throwback, I must admit. But yeah, the models are stunning. Obviously, models are not the issue. It's more just everything else. Though, mind you, some of these models I assume would have like multiple different types of weapons and they can't multi-fire too well. Sure, we do have that stuff in-game, but it does struggle to perform sometimes, and obviously that becomes a bit of an issue. Yeah, I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the future. Obviously, you've got the STG 44s here, which when you use them to fire, they don't really have animations too well. Sometimes they'll pick up the gun and so on, but again, work in progress. Perhaps more modern warfare type of stuff like World War II to modern day might not work for Total War, unless drastic changes come into effect, but it's cool to see the idea come into action, right? A lot of us hypothesize about this a lot, but we don't really know until some modders come into effect and start going, well, I'm going to try and see how this works. And it's clearly there, right? You can see the damage being done. Obviously, against zombies, they're just going to melt. But zombies are my basic tester unit when it comes to these things. I feel like with some refinement, this mod could be something absolutely insane. It's something that I wouldn't use personally. As you guys know, if you follow this channel quite often, I like to stay around the, the lore-friendly stuff that actually makes sense for the universe. I mean, technically, machine guns do kind of exist with the repeaters and so on, but a little bit more lower tech than modern warfare type of stuff, right? But it's cool. It's honestly amazing to see this happen. It does make me think that, yeah, in the future, we'll likely get a Total War 40k. We're likely going to get, a World War 1, maybe even World War 2 thing. It's one of these things where we've heard those rumors, right? We've all heard them. The engine has the very basic capability for it, but unless it gets a drastic upgrade, or, completely switch over to Unreal, it's just not going to be totally possible. But it's good to see this, though. It's good to see that, yes, the Warscape engine can try to simulate it. Clearly, the possibility is there already, just not in the best state. Well, it's more the current state of Total War. But, yeah, let me know what you guys think about everything discussed in the comments below. The mods will be linked in the description below, and I'll leave you off with some clips of Himars shooting and some VK2s because, everyone likes big explosions. We will be back to the normal schedule hopefully next week. I am feeling a little bit better, just to let you guys know, but I'm still not 100%.